Tēnā whare, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
The Honourable Alfred Ngaro.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's an honour to rise and give my adjournment speech. Actually, it's the first time in 7 years I've actually had the chance to be able to do that. I want to do it in 4 parts. The first thing I want to do is actually, because I was raised by always giving thanks, so a bit of gratitude. Mr Speaker, I want to thank you. I personally want to thank you because you allowed for the introduction of languages during the prayer throughout this year. I want to thank you for your tolerance in allowing me and others of different languages to be able to pray their prayers. I want to say thank you for allowing us to do that through this House as well. Mr Speaker, I want to also acknowledge the Prime Minister and is appropriate in her status and in her role, and especially since we worked collectively together from this side to that side in regards to the Child Poverty Reduction Bill. It was a collaboration, it was bipartisan, and I want to acknowledge the Prime Minister. I want to acknowledge Simon, our Leader of the Opposition. He's had to endure some pretty tough times, and I know that many others may have fallen, may have failed, may have actually decided to throw the towel in and walk away. But Simon, I want to say to you, Simon, the Honourable Simon Bridges, I want to say to you, thank you for your leadership and your courage to continue on and the convictions that you have that are leading us as a party, as a caucus as well. I want to acknowledge all of those in the caucus. I think that we've got a fantastic, a fabulous, an amazing team, and I'm proud to be part of this National Party caucus. Can I quickly acknowledge the parliamentary staff all around the building, from Copperfields to Bellamy's, right the way through. I think about Julius from DPS, who I met today, shook his hand, wished him Merry Christmas, Malcolm from VIP Cars, Big Jim, David, Tere, and many others that are part of the security around the place. I want to also acknowledge our own staff as well. Ollie, who works for me, and also Marie up in Auckland. For all of us have staff that we appreciate for the roles that they play. Our volunteers throughout up and down the country, and finally, our families. I want to acknowledge the fact that all of us come from families who love us and care for us, and even at times where it's difficult, they are there right beside us as well. So I want to acknowledge our families as well. My second point today in my speech is around a reflection. Mr Speaker, we've got Netflix at home. And apparently inside the Netflix, when I've gone down, there's a thing called classic movies. And when I think about a reflection of the government of the day, the classic movie I want to watch this Christmas is called The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. It's Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef. You're smiling, Mr Speaker, you probably have seen this, because that's what I would say is the reflection of this government. So let's talk about the good bits. Well, we talked about child poverty reduction. That was a good thing, bipartisan. Actually, it's something that happened over a long period of time over previous governments as well. Let's talk about 215 working groups. Well, that's not too bad. Well, that seems like a good thing. Why? Because you're at a point in time where over 9 years you haven't actually had a chance to think about what the policies are. Why not ask the people? So maybe we'll call that a good thing as well. Let's talk about Kiwi Build, 33 homes. Well, that's okay. Just 99,967,000 more homes to go. You won't take long. You should get there. But, you know, you're trying. You're making the effort, okay? Could be built, could be bought. 1.7 million families worse off from the government families package. Would say that that maybe is in the good. But let's talk about the bad, Mr Speaker. $2.5 billion of new taxes. People are going to hurt out there. People are suffering. But here's the thing, Mr Speaker. 65,000 people have gone out on strike. Mr Speaker, from teachers to nurses, even those in the justice. But here's the one I didn't understand. I didn't realise that the Inland Revenue Department could go out on strike. But Mr Speaker, they did. Unbelievable. 65,000 people went out on strike. That's got to be some of the bad stuff as well. 15.5 cents a litre higher on petrol taxes. People are hurting. Mr Speaker, what about the ugly? Now, this gets a little bit ugly. Carol Shrewbrick. That's got to be ugly. That's got to hurt. There's a lot of pain in that, and it's going to carry on a long way. Why? Because if someone made the right decision at the right time, actually, we wouldn't be here today. This story wouldn't be continuing on. But hey, we've been told, just read between the lines. But Mr Speaker, the one that really hurts that no one's acknowledged, 400,000 seedlings were mulched and killed, Mr Speaker. Their lives were taken. There was a hope, there was a vision that one day they could become tall to the trees in the Northland. But Mr Speaker, sadly, they were taken from us. They've departed. That was truly ugly. Mr Speaker, 3,000 have left our shores, have gone over to away from New Zealand. They've said haere, they've gone to other places. Mr Speaker, when National took office, 30,000 were leaving. By the end of that 9 years, nobody was leaving. Now we've got 3,000 that are leaving. That's ugly. It's the good, the bad and ugly. Get Netflix and watch it. Mr Speaker, I've got 26 seconds left to go. Mr Speaker, the reason for the season is a little baby called Jesus, who was born in a working class family, who was abandoned and was actually born in a place where he was homeless for a little while. And the purpose of that story is this. It gives us hope that can come in places that we least expect. It will teach us a lesson that even we could be the reason of hope for people around in our community. I hope and pray that we will give a little bit of love out there, a bit of hope to people who need it in our communities. Kia ora, Minister Speaker. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Carmel Cipollone.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't intend to start this way, but I cannot help